Great, so far we've learned how to access an element and change that element's HTML, and also how to make a web page respond to a click using JavaScript. So let's try and put that together and practice a little bit of what we've done so far. I'm going to start by combining the two tricks that we've learned so far to respond to a click and change the text of a div when we click on a button. So let's see how that might work. We've got our button, and let's put our div in. With some text in it. Okay. And what we want to do is when that button is clicked, we want to change the text of the div. So let's change the ID because we're going to have several different buttons here. We'll call this text changer. And we'll change the text within that button to change first div text. And then we'll give this div an ID of first div, like that. Okay, so we've already got some handy JavaScript here which we're going to use. Instead of my button, we want the ID to now be text changer, and this does the same thing that it did before. It accesses the document and then an ID element within that document, that is this button up here, and then on click it accesses this function. At the moment it alerts hi, but we want to change that to change the text of this first div element up here. So we do the same thing. We start with document, get element by ID, and first div. So now we're accessing this first div element here, and if you remember, we use the command inner HTML, and we want to set the inner HTML to this is awesome. Okay, let's have a look at that. Okay, so there's our button, change first div text, and this is our div with our text in it. Fantastic. I think this is great. Hopefully you're beginning to see the power of what JavaScript can do. We can affect and change any bit of a website with any kind of interaction. Okay, let's just see a couple of more things we can do. Underneath that div, we'll put another button. And this one we'll call text appender. And we'll call it append some text. So appending text means adding text to some text which is already there. Simple as that. So we'll have another div. We'll call this second div. And we'll have JavaScript is ... Close that div. So what we want to do is to create a new script which, when the text appender button is clicked, that appends some text, so adds some text to the second div. So I'm going to copy and paste this script here, because it's a very similar script that we want to do. So document get element by ID, it's not text changer this time, it's text appender. And onClick equals function, I want to keep that the same. And this time I want to take the second div, inner HTML, but I want to add to that, I want to append to it. So I want to get the actual inner HTML itself, and then I want to add to that some new text. I'm just going to extend this so you can see that slightly better. Let's just run through what that does. So document get element by ID, second div, inner HTML. That gets the HTML of the second div document and sets it equal to what it is at the moment, so document get element by ID second div, plus the word great. So that will take what it is at the moment and add the word great to it. Let's have a look at that. So append some text. JavaScript is great. Excellent. And for our last trick, we're going to do a similar thing, but we're going to add some text to an empty div. So let's have a new button. We're going to call this text creator. Slash button. And then we're just going to have an empty div, which will give an ID of empty div. Okay, so if we have a look at that, the div is there, but we can't see it. There's no content in it at the moment. So let's copy and paste. Maybe try this out for yourself first if you can. So this time we're going to get the element text creator being our button, and when that is clicked we want to get the element empty div, and we want to set the inner HTML to something. Just to show you that it doesn't have to be pure text, we can actually add HTML to this div. So we'll do a very simple unordered list, and we'll add a couple of list elements, cat and dog. So just to remind yourself the structure of the HTML here, we've got an unordered list tag and then a list item tag of cat, closing the list item tag, and another list item tag with dog within it, and then we're closing the unordered list. So that should create that unordered list when I click that button. There it is, fantastic. So we've done three different things there. We've changed some text when you click that button. We've appended some text, so added to what is already there when you click that button. And then we've created some text, there we go, which is actually some HTML this time with a bullet point list.